Hello, YouTube. Welcome back to Super Lorcana World. It is your one-stop shop for everything Lorcana, and today we need to talk about the big news that was announced last week, which are the Disney Lorcana TCG tournament rules. Yes, we have some smaller locals that are, giving out Lorcana promos and all that, and they need to be abided by a certain rule set. And this also paves the way for bigger Lorcana tournaments to happen as well, regionals or whatever when the time comes. So we're going to go through the really important parts of this rule manual, and I hope you guys enjoy the video. Let me know what you think. Do you think these rules are really cool, or do you think that these rules are not so good? Let me know in the comments. Like, subscribe, almost 2,000 subscribers, that would be really cool. Okay, we're going to go right through the table of contents here. Lorcana is already giving us two types of tournaments, limited or constructed. That's good to know. Casual and competitive. Casual, relaxed rules and fewer, if any, prizes, and then competitive tournaments, stricter rules, may have more significant prizes. These are probably going to be the regionals and higher events, and these are probably the locals that are happening right now. Tournament roles, you have the TO, you have the head judge, the floor judge, the scorekeeper, the player, and the spectator. Nice of them to give certain titles to everything here is really good. Anyone's eligible unless you are banned. So yeah, or any tournament official. Really important. You don't want to be playing in your own tournament. That's just a big no-no. And now they actually split what each role does. TO does everything. The head judge is the head judge to make the final rulings. They also help the tournament run smoothly. Judges are charged with assisting players in rules questions and handling errors, like any other judge would. What's really cool about this is it unofficially confirms that there will be some kind of judge program at some point. And one of my goals in this card game in particular is I want to actually be a judge. I've only had very minor judging experience with card games in the past before. And I think it'd be really cool to actually be like a real judge for a real card game. I've never done that before. It's been on my bucket list. So if there's ever a judge program announced, you can bet your butt that I'll be applying for it. I know all my rulings so far, which is really good. So, yeah, just exciting. Just food for thought there. Judges, cool. Scorekeeper. I do that too, actually, but it's just really cool. Melee GG is what they use, and that's fine. The player and the spectator. All right, cool. Match structure, best of three. The match is concluded before a player won 2 games. And the player that have won the most games in the win of the match. If both players the same number of wins at that point, it is a draw. And we're going to get to the time procedure rules shortly. Before a match begins, you must randomly decide who's going to go first. And whoever wins their die roll or whatever chooses. Really cool. You have to make that decision before you draw your opening hand, and that's just proper. The match procedure, players decide who's going first, shuffles their deck, gives the opponent the opportunity to shuffle or cut their deck, draw 7 cards, then you mulligan, okay, and then the players start playing the game. And they talk about time. So here's how time works, okay? An active player finishes their turn right here. Then 5 turns remaining, so turn 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. At the end of the game, if the game ends during these turns, it's reported normal. If another player has won the game at the end of the turn 5, and one player has won more games than the other wins, that player wins the match. Swiss rounds. If neither player has won the game at the end of turn 5, and both players have the same number of game wins, the match is a draw. This is very, very important. None of this, if you have 19 versus 0, the game is still a tie. Does not matter. But for single elimination, if that is the case, you do win. Whoever has the most lore at the end of the 5 turns does just win the game. And if it's tied, it's sudden death. Basically, whoever ends up with the highest lore at any moment in time after that point in time wins the game. Very important to know. Because time matters. No one really knew how time works. We were kind of like speculating, but now we know for sure. So this is very, very, very important. Concessions. A player may concede at any time. Great. A player that refuses to play a match is conceding. Players may not ask their opponents to concede a game. Player may not offer or accept any sort of incentive for their opponents to concede the game. This is very important. There cannot be any shenanigans whatsoever. You can't say to your opponent, hey, if you give me this win, I'll give you this John Silver. You can't do that. That is illegal, and that is bannable. So that's really important. Deck registration. Register your deck ahead of time, except for limited. Limited, you have to fill out the deck list as you go. and that's fine. Deck checks can happen, and dropping from the tournament, you can drop whenever you want by either doing it on the platform or telling a judge or a scorekeeper. Very important. Written notes. Very important. Players are encouraged to keep written track of lore totals, but no other written notes are permitted. That is it. You can only write down lore, nothing else. So you cannot write down cards that have already been inked. You can't write down anything. Only lore. And then electronic devices, at casual tournaments, they may use the mobile app, as long as any references are made in a timely manner. At competitive tournaments, electronic devices capable of long-term data storage and or internet access are not permitted. At all, period. Which means you need to use like paper if you want to keep track of lore. You cannot use an app. Very, very important. That can be cheating. In-game information. During games, players are expected to communicate openly with their opponents. When adding a card to their inkwell, the player adding the card must ensure their opponent has full knowledge of the card. So you have to say, I'm adding John Silver to my inkwell. Alright. Very important. The card status of any card in play, exerted, ready, damage marked, whether the card ink or dry, must be completely and correctly communicated by the card's controller. So just communicate what you're doing at all times. It's fine. When a player has multiple simultaneous actions to resolve, that player must announce the order of resolution. So, like, if you have, you know, I don't know, you activate the friends on the other side, then you have two Dr. Faciliers that resolve, you have to pick which one resolves, whatever. Okay. Bad example, but you understand what I mean, I believe. Exerted cards have to be 90 degrees. 90 degrees. 90 degrees. None of this 45 degree stuff, 90 degrees. Lore gains must always be announced and must include the new lore value for that player as the lore increase. This ensures both players fully understand the current lore score, that any discrepancies can be found and read and immediate as soon as possible. So, if you're saying here, I have John Silver and I have 10 lore right now, I'm in a quest for 2 to go to 12 lore. You have to communicate it like that. That is how they want you to do it. Good. Players are expected to maintain a clear game state whenever possible. This includes pointing out mandatory effects whenever they occur, even if they are opponent's card. For purposes of this rule, a mandatory effect is one that does not include the word may in its text. Failing to remind a player that may effect is not against the rules, but players are encouraged to remind their opponents in order to foster the most positive play experience for all involved. Yeah, I bet that's going to happen. But for real, what this means is, for example, something like John Silver. John Silver's ability reads, when you play this character, whenever you quest, chosen character gains Reckless till their next turn. There's no may. It is mandatory. Both players must make sure this card resolves, as opposed to something like Grandma Tala here. Grandma Tala says when this card is banished, you may put it in your inkwell face down. You don't have to. But John Silver, you have to do it. Really important distinction there. Inkwell. Players are required to keep their inkwell cards distinct and separate from any other face-down cards that may be on the table. Very important. Because I use, like, clear, like, solid back sleeves, right? And it could be a thing where, like, you might accidentally pick up your ink instead of your hand. You know what I mean? So just make sure that everything with your inkwell is proper. Your inkwell is always known. Always know what you're doing. Just be very, very, very confident in that. Constructed tournament formats to build your deck ahead of time. Currently, there's only one constructed format at core, but more be added in future updates, like multiplayer or whatever. Must contain at least 60 cards, no maximum deck size, but the player must be able to shuffle their deck in a timely manner without assistance. So you can't bring in the 2,000 card deck, you know what I mean? That's what that means. Only 2 inks, really important. No more than 4 of a single card is identified in full English name. Like, you can only play 4 Aladdin Heroic Outlaw, and you can only play 4 of the other one. Where's the other one? 4 Aladdin Stream Rat. So you can play 4 Street Rat, and you can play 4 Heroic Outlaw, but you can't, like, play 5. That's what that means. Yeah, important. Okay, limited rules. Limited describes any events where players are provided on Open Disney Lorcana product and expected to build their decks on site during the tournament. Sealed, pre-constructed, or draft. The deck must contain at least 40 cards, no maximum deck size, but limited to the cards that you are allowed to have. Limited decks are not limited in any ink colors. They're not limited in any number of card. So you can play 6 Heroic Outlaw Aladdin if you have 6. You can do that. Sealed tournament. Each player is provided a set number of unopened booster packs from which they build their deck. They open their booster packs, they build their deck. Pre-constructed, you're given a random starter deck. Players may add or exchange a number of cards between the pre-constructed deck and the booster pack provided the starter deck product. Really cool. This also seems to imply that booster packs will just be provided in every starter deck going forward. That's really interesting. Draft. A draft tournament, players are take turns selecting and drafting cards from previously unopened booster packs to form their card pool. For a draft tournament, players must be seated in pods of as close to 8 players as possible, with an equal number distribution of players as possible. Each player is provided with the same number of packs. For the first pack, each player opens the pack, selects a card, adds their card pool, passes the cards to their left. Then they collect the pack on the right, select the card, do so. Second pack is passed to the right, third pack passed to the left, and so on. Once all packs are drafted, each player picks are now completed. Card pool for deck construction. Cool. Recommended minimum booster mix for draft tournaments is 4 packs of Disney Lorcana in the first product. Alright, cool. Casual draft, players may be paired against any other player in tournament. Competitive draft, players must be paired against players in their own pod. Very important. Time limits. Swiss round 50 minutes. Great. And they even give you the time limits for how long you need to pick a card in draft. And they even tell you the number of minutes allowed for deck construction in limited formats. Very cool they do this. And of course, you can email lorcanaop@ravensburger.com if you want to provide any constructive feedback or suggestions. And that's it. Those are the tournament rules for Disney Lorcana, the first chapter, and going forward until whenever an update is made. Effective 9/6/2023. They could change it at any moment in time. Always make sure you have the updated document available to you. That is it for today's video. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. I think these rules are great. I have no issues with a single rule in this tournament rule manual. I think this is a big W for Lorcana. What do you think? See you later. Bye.